Hey guys, it's Kimberlee and welcome back to this channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on a budget. I'm just going to say it flat out. New York City housing is a scam. It is a scam. Woo! I had to get off my chest. I'm a born and bred New Yorker. There are ways to navigate housing. So if you've never been to this channel before, I lead a budget lifestyle, so everything is going to be coming from the perspective of someone on a budget. By the way, this wearable blanket is from the Comfy. I absolutely love it. It keeps me so warm. I have a video on it. You guys can check that out if you want. Recently, I started looking for a place in the city, and oh my goodness, I cannot tell you how many scams and confusion there is out there, and I just want to help someone else as I too go through it for the pitfalls that I've run into or the things that are not written, dealing with landlords, dealing with brokers. It's just chaos, and I just want to dive into the things that I've seen so far and how you can navigate around that. So the number one thing that I want to say right off the bat from what I've been searching and looking at listings, make sure to read between the lines. The things that you don't see listed are probably the most important things. And it's simple things that you wouldn't even consider. But I hadn't searched for an apartment in the city in a really long time. And the first thing I realized, because I got punked when I got there, is that an elevator being listed is like a luxury. Not a luxury as in like fancy, but like if an elevator is not listed, that means they don't have it. I know you think like that would be an obvious thing, but to me it's like most buildings should have elevators. So if I don't see elevator on there, it's like, oh, it's a given. No, it is not a given. It is usually a given that it's a walk up. New York City is old. The first place that I went, and I was especially enticed because it said washer and dryer in unit and it was a 1-bedroom. Wow. Yes, when I got there was a line of people because obviously everyone's always looking for a place in the city. This was back in the summer. Then I realized when I was walking up the stairs that this was a walk up, and I was like, I can't believe I just fell for that. I fell for the most obvious thing, and also the apartment was like horrifically small, but I thought like, you know, maybe if it was a student or someone that didn't mind the 5 floors that you have to walk up, which I think is insane for everyone. Thought of like every single day walking up 5 flights or even 3 flights of stairs. But those types of apartments you can get for cheaper because it is a walk up. So if that doesn't bother you in any shape or way, you should definitely haggle that price or get some sort of special amenity in there like a washer dryer in unit. Look out for the things that aren't on the listing, and that's usually an indication. And it's weird because some of these brokers don't want to say. I'll message them and be like, oh, this looks amazing. Is this a walk-up? What floor is it on? And the first thing they message back is, what's your income? What's your credit? When would you want to move in? They literally avoid the word. When I finally responded to the guy and I said, hey, I actually was only asking if this was a walk-up. What floor is it on? He responds back, this is on the 2nd floor, but we have other buildings that, you know, would be on the 1st floor. So they don't want to say that this is a walk-up and that there's no elevator. Like, why not just say the obvious? I don't know. Notice the things that aren't written on there. If there's no laundry written on there in the building, there's no doorman, you know, mentioned. Also, the most important thing is that when utilities aren't mentioned, that should be the first thing that you should ask when you're looking at your apartment or you're looking at the price. What are the utilities? What's included? Is it heat, hot water, gas, electric? A lot of the times it'll be like heat and hot water. That's it. Like there's no gas involved. So you want to make sure that those things are something that you figure out in advance because it definitely makes a difference. Just have a list of questions ready to go. Especially now during the pandemic, they're doing the whole net effective rent versus net gross. A quick little breakdown of that. I hope I get it correct. If an apartment is for $1,600 a month, but they're like giving you a certain amount of months free and it comes down to $1,300, you can ask them if you can pay that $1,300 all the way through and not have your free certain amount of months, or you have those certain amount of months free and then you pay that $1,600 a month. Another thing you need to keep track of is the dimensions of the space. Sometimes they'll have the dimensions in a photo, like a little diagram of what the rooms look like. I went and looked at one place and I had to lay it out for this guy because I was annoyed. They had a listing for a studio apartment and the kitchen was in like a separate area. Great, sounds really cool. They had a photo layout of it, and the photo layout made it look like the hallway was so big and wide, and I was like, oh, well, you can put a lot of stuff in that hallway. This is great. Like, I don't mind that the studio looks kind of small because I'll have space in the hallway. Then I looked at the 3D model that they have. Some of them have 3D models. Some of them have a walkthrough with their videos. All those videos are usually helpful. But looking at the 3D model and going through the space, I was like, you're a liar. Dude, you're a liar. The space was like this big. Why does your photo make it look like it's this big? Why are we lying here? So when I went to go look at the place, I was like, interestingly enough, like your photos are really not to scale. And he was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, because one of them made it look like this is a giant hallway and I'm walking through right now and I can barely fit anything past my shoulders through here. Y'all are straight up giving misinformation. And he tried to play it off like, oh, that's just one of our coworkers. Yeah, sometimes he didn't do the diagram correctly. I was like, yeah. So look out for that. Make sure you know the dimensions. Make sure you watch a video. I love to do video walkthroughs. It's almost the first thing that I'll say, especially in these times. I want a video walkthrough, so I want to see what the apartment looks like. Obviously, another thing with the videos is that they'll have like a fisheye camera almost, where it looks like it's warped to make it look bigger. Another scam. Here we go. I just wish people would just be straightforward. We know it's New York. We know New York has tiny spaces. Like, please don't try to entice me and make it look like as if it's bigger when it's not. Honestly, all this drama of looking at these places made me want to become a real estate agent. I was like, I want to do this research. I want to take this exam. Maybe I should become a real estate agent because I would be truthful in what I'm, trying to sell. I know that it's commission and I know that it's a pandemic, but I hate this like scammy vibe. I don't want to be scammed. I'm sure you wouldn't want to be scammed. So let's not scam each other. That'd be great. Another thing that someone mentioned to me that's really helpful is to make a list of your deal breakers. What are you absolutely not going to fold on? What can you be a little bit flexible on? For me, I'm not flexible on a walk up. I'm not walking up to my place. I am taking the elevator unless it is maybe on the first floor. I dare say the second floor. Some real estate agents are really, really nice. And one guy was like, I have to have something that the landlord, will be enticed, whether it's your credit, whether it's your income, whether it's the fact that you can have a grant guarantor. Like, I need to have something to kind of sell you. And I understood that the real estate agent is like the middleman that is going to basically talk you up to the landlord that the landlord would want to rent to you. What about you stands out that would make the landlord be like, ooh, this is a great renter versus however many other people there are, other than the fact that there's not that many people anyway. And sometimes they just want to get butts in seats or keep bodies in apartments, basically. One of the places I was looking at, they had massive construction next door, and I was like, this price is too high. This construction is going to go on for like at least a year. It was ridiculously loud. I was like, your price would need to come down for this. And this apartment is small anyway, and it doesn't get much sunlight. So this is not really going to do it for me. I'm just speaking from the consumer perspective only. I feel for the real estate agent that's like has to make money as well as the landlord who has to make money too. If you are looking for apartments or you're just keeping an eye on everything, just keeping a lookout for how it rises and falls. And then you wonder, how did this $2,000 a month apartment suddenly go down to $1,500? That means that it was inflated up to that $2,000. That's just my opinion on it. Now onto the websites that I've been using that I feel like are really helpful for finding your apartment. The number one app that I love is called HotPads. You can look up apartments by address. So if I find an apartment on another website and I want to see the listing on HotPads, I will check there and I just have to put in the address. I love that it talks about the neighborhood. It talks about the median income in the area. It's the age of people that are in the area. If the area is walkable at night, it has all these percentages. Street Easy is number two. I feel like I do see a lot of listings there. I see a lot of the walkthrough tours. You can schedule appointments on there to do in-person viewings, which I've done a couple. My favorite viewings that I've done is where the real estate agent literally just either texts me or calls me and tells me how to get into the building and I can view it on my own. It really doesn't take that long to view an apartment, especially if you have like specifics. It's easier too in terms of like the pandemic and not being with someone else. It is nice, I guess, to have to walk around with an agent, but I also kind of like just going on my own, and that way I can tell either right away or take time to just kind of view the space and imagine it without feeling like someone's eyes or me being like, are you going to take it? Are you going to take it? I also use Trulia sometimes. RentHop feels like just a step above Craigslist in that it just looks seedy on there. I don't know. It's just not as user-friendly, I think, personally, in terms of looking things up. So I really love Street Easy and HotPads. I use those kind of back and forth, and whatever's not listed on one, I check the other. Always make a favorites list and kind of just keep checking. I always like to just reach out to them right away with a question that I have, or asking if I can see a walkthrough of the place and then going from there. And then eventually things that they're going to ask you like almost instantly is your income, your credit score, when you want to move in, and pets if you have any pets. Once I started looking at places and then seeing how other areas, the prices were coming down so much, I lowered my price range because I felt like I don't need to be paying that much for that little of space. So I lowered it, and I also started looking elsewhere. So I'm not only looking in Manhattan, I'm looking in certain parts of Queens, certain parts of Brooklyn, and certain parts of the city. It depends. Everyone's going to be different, but I just wanted to give you guys a couple little things to look out for right away. Comment down below any tips that you may have for other people that are looking for apartments in the city. Especially now, their rates are really low, so now is a good time. Find the place that you really like, ask all your questions, and hopefully you find a place soon. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.